so the first hand sniping, and I'm going to call it hand sniping, I'm going to do, is the scoop. Well, doesn't matter. Actually, if you're out here in long point, that's even better, because the scoop is basically just bang bang. That we've seen everybody do. And I don't really, I feel silly trying to explain this to y'all because I've seen all of you do this, but it's from the line, just drop under and cut up to the hands.
Quick question.
Yes.
Is there any difference between the version you are doing and my rules? Like, you know the thing, right?
I know what you're referencing.
Like the last part of the Opera Nova first.
The biggest difference is this is straight on. This is
okay.
Just that. Morozzo is a turn.
It kind of turns the
Does it
hand
turn to the
towards
fault
turn.
Doesn't Morocco do this and then turn?
Yeah, I feel like we kind of switches the top.
Yeah.
So we're going to reference that in a little bit.
Okay.
Because this is the first one, and it's just coming up underneath.
Okay.
Now, what do you do as a counter, though?
Get into that. Okay. I wrote down the whole lesson plan. Dealing with this and dealing with the other cuts. Because there's the scoop. I'm just going to call it the scoop because the action itself as performed is not described in any of the text that I've seen. Partially because coming from a bind, to come off and go for that is a little crazy, especially if he decides to just thrust me in the face.
It's sport fencing.
It's sport fencing.
Well, and it's a competition adaptation. Because like you said, you're going to hit his hand, he's going to stab him in the face. He's inconvenienced, you're dead. Congratulations.
It's one of those things which give you the rule of basically hitting the higher the better. So.
The other from below cuts the hands is from Horse Tooth, Oliver, Iron Gate, and that's this extension towards the hands. And you do it either as a cut and then a follow-up to the hands. You either cut to the sword, follow-up to the hands, coming up.
There's also the full edge directly from top.
And there's just the false edge directly from Oliver. There's also directly from Iron Gate, which is, again, or even from Longtail, all the way to Ridge, which you're probably going to script for if you do the, I'm really coming up.
And then probably get yelled at because you're probably not, players are not supposed to be hitting the ground.
Yeah.
Judges like, stop that, not that. So we are, the first thing we're doing here is just practicing. And the other person is just receiving it from long.
From long point. Cool. Because this is probably the position that everybody gets hand sniped the most. So practice that a couple of times. Mostly so that everybody gets comfortable with the distance. Ideally, maybe a small step of the foot, nothing passing, nothing.
All right. I'll let you start.
You're reading right now.
Do it from up in
Do it from the
so
line.
long point.
Okay.
And then just set there.
Okay.
And switch. I'm just going to put this part of the class on YouTube, Facebook. This is what I'm teaching everybody.
And you're experienced. You're teaching how to win human tournaments.
Oh yeah, I'm gender sport dancer. All right, everybody's familiar with this? I'm
Yes.
sure you've had it happen to you 1,000 times, or you've done it 1,000 times. So I'm going to give you again, everything I'm going to give you is things that I've gleaned from the texts. There is nothing specific about this action in the texts. But if I am hanging out here in long points, and Hill's going to go for my hand, because Hill's going to go for my hand, because when they're out there,
Move your hands.
first thing to do is up. Whichever foot is forward, bring your hands back to the opposite, to that hollow you have. Because what's going to happen if he goes to my hands and I bring him out of the way? One of two things happens. Either they follow through and try to stab you, in which case your zuck, bringing the hands back, gets you on a weaker point of their sword, and then fun things happen. That's the first option. What's the second option?
Stepping back.
What is the second thing that will happen if I'm going to create a little, take a half step back, going to be extended when you go with my hands.
You can
The
go
second
ahead.
option
Oh,
Hilda
yeah.
has, recover.
Yes.
In which case you knock across, pursue after. It's the same kind of action as if someone is here and pulls their sword back to their bon top, follow it in, after and stab them. Those are really the two, I think, highest probability actions you have.
The third option
You're talking about to recover from someone.
I'm talking about if someone is doing the scoop or
Yeah.
this action. This is the third option one. Rest it. So the only part about that is a little iffy is you have to re-engage the leg.
Yes.
Because as soon as
Oh, you can start options. Charge you and get the
yeah.
crowd.
So as soon as I bring the hands back, I need to engage that blade somehow. Either as they come in which case, yeah, I'm going to go for that. As they retreat, in which case, and thrust in.
And of course, so what is advised then is to retreat to the surface.
Right. But I'm going to assume that I'm doing this against people who are used to that hand sniping working.
Okay.
Because so far, as I have noticed in a lot of the sparring and sparring games, when someone goes for the hands, if they bring the hands back and don't get in the hands, the fray stops. Nobody follows on, nobody has a second action, a follow intent.
Okay.
From either the person cutting for the hands or the person defending their hands.
That definitely happens when I'm talking about. Someone tries to set the hand, they do it back, and you just, okay.
Yep. So this is the continuation. So I would like you to practice the zuck first. Put the hands out of the way and keep this point to the face of them. Get to the face, to the chest. As long as you keep your hands low, this will be fine. If he goes for the hands, I do this thing.
Yep.
Because if he's able to strike my hands, he's in range to take a step and stab me in the chest.
So, so this drawing back, does that can equal, I don't know, getting to a full flu or?
Well, if you're a long point, yeah.
Yeah,
It
if
kind
you
of
want
go back and forth.
long points, zuck to flute,
Yes.
and then
I'm sort of assuming, going back to our previous discussion, that I'm thrust with two hands.
And the one-handed thrust, you do that.
And then one-handed thrust will always win the bind. Against it.
Yeah. But that's also why you have to, when you bring the hands back, keep that sword in point. The point in present. And then one thing's happened forward. So I'd like you to first, if you are scooping forward, after they get their hands out of the way, continue, so let's scoop, go for the face. And then the defender, get your hands out of the way, protect your face.
And you want the underneath.
Oh, perfect. Wait, here.
So that, you got me to use your sword longer.
Right.
You needed to actually get my sword to the side. If I had the same sword as you did, it would be cool.
Should I think? Yeah.
Now, admittedly, knowing your sword longer, there's some merit to that. But. Oh, that's not good. So you need to pull back into floater first. So there you go. So I come up. And just, okay, so let's.
Yep.
There you
And if you go back higher,
There are your hands.
go. Okay. So you keep trying to parry. Just pull back.
Yeah. This isn't parry, it's just boy.
So when I come pull, there you go.
And then, because this might come back, there's a point where his blade is flat.
Right.
Which means that,
So each time you try to grab it, it's a 50-50 that you either hit it
Or
or
not.
end up going beyond it, and that's where you have ended up here in your sword's living here.
if it's flat, you're probably not going to do this. But in order for him to get you, to that point, then he needs to start moving up.
don't immediately go
When he starts moving up, that's when
So
you're
if
really
we do slow move, right? So I go like that. You keep trying to hit it here. There you go.
Okay, mastery, and then you can mind it.
You can also essentially have more surface area to hit on mine as well. Right?
Yeah, that makes sense.
And the other part of this is do the same thing, don't retreat your hands after you make a round.
Switch your feet. You can be able to do both sides.
So if you do it for us.
If you go for the line when his hands are retreating,
So do it the way you were doing where you're trying to engage my sword right after it. Right.
you wind up engaging or not being able to engage. But switch. You start switching for his hands.
Oh,
Okay, you're going directly forward. Carry first, second, third,
And after you cut in, follow up with the thrust towards his hands.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh no!
Start with the hands.
Start with this hand.
And then, yep.
I need to be quicker.
Safety first.
Nope, I just did what you keep doing.
Guys,
Yeah, we are.
Trying to keep my distance here. You're real close to me. Because
So that's the game. You start going
So essentially,
forward.
also, if you were to do this hack, you want to do it with just your head. You keep putting this at a distance where you're going to be like, if I was not to move my hands, just do some right. Right. right? So it's not, you're not taking those different tips.
Right.
You could go back a good half step
Yeah.
and still get the hit, right? Particularly with your longer sword, right?
Yep.
So, and the reason you want to do that if you're doing this, is it's less likely for me to bring my hands up, and I'm also doing that, right? So step a half step forward, you did forward. No, 12 forward. So essentially where I can do that, right? And then in a tournament,
I think we're a little.
well, we're gonna double hit, sucks, okay, we step back and start,
Yeah.
right? So that's why you want to do it with just it. Step back. There.
You're not moving up.
What was that? That don't mean, that was silly.
Lift your hands, you guys bring your hands back. Come up here. Right now you're doing this thing. Put your hands out there. Put your hands in front of you. Yes. And take a step. So go. Move it out to the sidewalk. When you re-engage, stand straight. And take a step. Take whichever foot is best. No, step in towards the same foot of his.
Yes. Of course, if you're fast with this to the net, if you're fast with this to the net, position.
I guess there's the reason why people keep, getting the longer headers.
I mean, true. It gives you the advantage.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So my problem is,
That thing with your left foot?
one, you're not fully doing this. You're trying to kind of watch your feet, which is not bad. per se. But for my practice, like so what we're doing
the sword,
is
kills
less
it
of
with
us.
two things.
You're just
Go
going to
aim for you.
Yeah.
And so my reaction is this.
Yeah,
Is it needed?
So
If you're just going for it.
Right. But by the way, it's more like plain.
very first.
Sure.
Yeah.
Right. And so that's why, for example,
Yes, and
this keeps putting me on the back foot before you're doing it rather than swooping.
Yep.
You're just doing it cross. That
Yeah.
happens also throughout my hands. Right. So yeah, I don't know. This is not where I have to start.
All right. How's everybody feeling about this action?
Makes sense in context, but the way that his scoop is not less of a scoop so much as he puts it accurately, a feint, and so it's more of a thrust in fact. So my problem
You're
is
about to get scooped away. You know what the hands.
because his is less of a full scoop. What ends up happening is I'm bringing back into this, and he's still coming forward, and then it's a struggle of his strong up on my weak.
So using some of the other information from the Zuck, we need somebody in opposition. So Aiden goes for my hands, or it doesn't, it's just a feint.
Right.
When I bring the hands back, if he winds up and then just continues in, I then push back out.
So the action he's doing that is causing frustration to this, right? And so I find myself still pulling back into his up. And again, we're a little too close, and he's already plugged into it, right? And so that's where I'm like pulling back, oh god, right? And particularly because I'm pulling back here, I find myself fighting my own body.
So,
Which is why my instinct to counter it is not to just zuck,
Yep.
but it is to zuck.
so
Right.
Yes.
Sure, but I can at that point I realize that he's going for the long thrust, and now I can potentially counter it.
So here is the other part. I was going to wait until the end, but something to think about with this action. You stand here. I'm kind of very far inside. Your hands close to your body. There's not going to be much opportunity. If you stand a little more extended, and I hate saying this, I don't like it, but If I know they go over the hands, I'm going to extend the hands a little farther. I'm going to lean forward a little bit so I have a good 2 feet to Zucker. So I get the body voiding to create that extra space that you're running into the problem of, but that is also very much A.
So also, when you zuck,
Yep.
so I'm coming up. What side of my blade are you trying to have yours on?
Doesn't matter, you go back to this back height.
I'm bringing my hands.
It doesn't matter.
I'm bringing my hands back.
Here.
If I catch here or there, I'm looking for the feeling of what happens. Because if I'll do this nice and slow.
Yep.
But I'm going to suck, and you're just going to continue that. Yeah, that would be a great idea.
Yep.
But that initial suck, because I'm keeping presence. Now, this is obviously not at all talking about the fact that if I'm going for the hands, I might cut.
So, and that's the other thing that I felt that we were also ending up with is coming up, as opposed to coming up there, it's at the gut, right? And this is what we were running into that problem we were discussing when he was defending of catching that horizontal blades that much harder. So that again, that's why my natural instinct there is to avoid entirely the setback, right?
Yeah. In Fury, there are pictures of low-line thrusts here to the belt.
Yep.
The pictures that are shown, hands are just low.
Okay.
Actually, in a moment, I'll get the book to show that. We're going to go to the partners in a moment so that Liam can join in. So try this again, but create more space. So you're going to be a little bit farther away from each other because you're using long points, not just as a measure, but actually as a tool, as a defensive action. I'm out here. And yes, there's lots of things I can do from long point. Awesome work. So, mostly thrust or move out to do something else. Personal opinion. Do it for a little bit longer. See if you can create more time, more space, more wiggle room to make it work.
What about passing sideways? So like, let me explain it before I just like this, if they come in, they're gonna get you, and they're coming in, why not just pass sideways so the blade passes?
Is that thing coming in the back of your head?
Not full pass, like just like, what I mean is pivot on your front foot.
My excuse is I'm fat, so I'm not as,
No, I know exactly what you're saying, but if I do this,
got extra
No,
power.
second action. What? Meaning, they come through, they still are stabbing at me, once you have zucked back, not zucking, yeah, you've done this,
I've done this.
standard zuck, and then you go to shanking.
you're asking to do this
After? On the start.
or turn all the way to the other side.
Either one of those that get you on the other side of the
You
blade.
don't have time.
Okay, got it.
So we can say he's
Okay.
I'm not going to worry.
Yeah, okay. So
You
just.
can do a small step back, but anything more than a step is going to get interesting.
So like not just pivoting at your front foot quickly as the action.
If he takes a big step, he's holding it instinctively. He's one step back as I hear it.
Okay.
And now he is in a worse position than I am because we're in an equal point, but I have to answer.
Okay, cool.
And now I probably would, I would probably step in with this, and then
I want to step back and reestablish
we
my.
get to keep
Or do the wine.
Then it's finding games. As I said, things get interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
So one thing I found kind of confusing me was that there is a potential change of size basically when you go back to the sword. And,
Yep.
I'm not sure if it's a frequency and my lack of training or what, but I think sometimes I'm
And that's why I'm saying create more space. So you have more reaction time, more time to go. Something's happening. Oh, it's on the outside. Cool. Oh, it's on the inside. Cool.
That's also why you want blade contact.
Yep.
And you're filming the blade.
Because
On
if you don't have blade contact, you don't know where the sword is.
I mean, this is also where he's kind of like intentionally going off with contact. So.
Oh yeah, he came off blade contact and over the hands. You knew where he was going, and you avoided that. As soon as you avoided that, you need to reestablish the line. And that's where you find out, oh, he's on the right, he's on the left. He's coming in, he's retreating.
Okay.
So,
Which is one of the reasons why it's like rotating, like if you rotate right like this.
yeah, you can rotate right on the sword. You can rotate in a bad position. You can remove any advantages you might have had. But masking gloves, grab a new partner.
I guess that was round. Okay, it's 5. I will watch. Judge silent. Sometimes that's silent.
So how was cooking first? Yes.
Is that? Same thing. And it's the person going for the hands gets to choose whether they're retreating or following.
I think you both need to take half a step back.
Yeah, take a half step back, extend your arms more. Because
I don't quite feel safe doing it there.
so when his hands go high like that, which foot do you have forward?
The proper one. Answer the proper one. And that is actually.
When his hands are going up like that, so you need to, because what you're doing is trying to do this lateral line thing. Move your hands and bring it back. Yep. I want you to cut him off. Because right now what he's doing is he's getting the hands up and bringing the point around your blade. Don't move around, sir. Get on these weaker portions of his blade. Get out of the way. And then you can do stuff.
So you want to.
Hold on, I need to take a step back.
No. You said you stay where you were. There you go. And the next thing he's going to say, put your sword farther out. So hold on your sword, like that.
Can you step back?
Oh, sure.
You keep edging a little bit.
You also see like where your sword was, you have a lot more room to come down, right? So it gives you more safety. So when you do those after that, right? You're back in your sword. Like, yeah, there you go.
Hold.
You want to push it this way. Yes. What you did there was your this, which was
Start behind that.
weakish. Because you also know this, right?
Thank you.
You don't want to go that way. Which also. Oh, not me.
Start behind that line. I I always go, I don't need to take out the tape. I don't need to get started with this thing. No, you're too close. Fuck, God.
But now I can't reach at all, so I
So you go like half step forward, all right? There it is.
All right, if you haven't switched, switch it up. All right.
Yes, that's okay. Yeah, that's fine. That's okay.
Let me see.
No, let him get it. It's a difficult one. Still what we're talking about.
Can you get his hands?
Yeah, I don't think I can.
Maybe you need to be a little closer.
Yeah, okay.
Or take the step closer. It's in your
Try it in your hands.
So, as you are right now, we're just doing this thing.
I see why it's right, but I'm not sure how
That'll
to
give you that.
Yeah. Because that's also, I think, going to be more natural than actually smart.
All right, awesome.
You're going to take our whole thing.
Don't fully wipe out. Reestablish the bind. And I want his tip if he thrusts in. So,
Tap your
if he thrusts in,
sideways.
the tip should be just past the hand. Not
Are you
back.
saying go sideways?
To establish the bind.
Come on, come on over
Are you
here.
saying going
Just
sideways?
over.
Are you saying go
So
sideways?
your point is making
What about the saying? What I'm saying, like,
because right now, what you're doing is.
I go in here.
And
then go sideways.
And then you can only cut.
Oh, you're saying you can-
Which that
Yeah.
flat is going to give him momentum to come around and come back into your guard. Yep. There you go.
There's nothing else to do. You kind of put that back.
Good. Keep going.
Yes, you got enough time to do this. That's all one side. You might want you don't have time. Right? Typically, if you're in the back of the ring or whatever, like you don't.
You would have to put the lose the and then push it back.
Well, that's probably I know, because I'm bad. Straight back. But
I would like you to, after you make
and
the
then
toss,
maybe on you all the same thing. That's what we do.
go for
It's
it.
going right in my face.
So he's going to thrust towards your face after he tries to.
But I think you're better served with that step back. Which versus the this. Kind of great at that point. And you win the game, but more often than not.
Don't come on, you're going for the body. Doing this, Aiden's probably about your size, about your weight, just a little bit taller. So you can get on top of it and push down. Imagine if he's taller than me. You go two catches on top, and push down.
Yeah. Yeah.
Basically, a strong
Right there it is. Go back. You know,
Right here. So I think where my clients get involved in my job.
yeah.
Because it's just an extra.
Alright. Can we work back for a moment? Yes. Go for it. My bottom has to get a little bit water.
Scoop on you.
Sure. I was trying to answer.
Is there anything to be said for just fighting back there instead of?
Oh, yes. There's plenty to be said about bring your hands back here and starting from here. One of the biggest benefits is that you know your distance and you are betraying how much space you have to the other person.
you're trying
The
to
downside to fighting from flute or most breve
which
is that when you have your hands back here,
what people you end up doing is
you have
rattle the mixologist coming back.
you have to control the distance because if they start encroaching on your distance,
So in theory,
um,
pulling this back, cut off that line, and then
Austin, can you grab your sword? So, you work here. If I come here and Austin retreats in a little bit so that he's at this distance,
so what you're doing essentially is
Yeah,
attack.
I can start to do
You're
stuff.
doing this,
but
right?
if
But
I'm
also
here
like kind
and
of making
Austin
stuff like the wrong
takes
side
control,
because you, I think
all of a
you're
sudden,
like I'm on this side.
I'm
and
on
then
the
you
reactive
decide, like,
spot.
oh no, I'm on that
going
side.
somewhere that I need to move somewhere else to do something. So if I'm here, I will be not this distance from him.
Alright,
So that way
try that.
I can take advantage of the fact that I know how much different my extension is. I'm going from my sit
Keep
to
your
over half
point
my
at
sword
me.
bearers.
So that my, so the,
My
put yourself
tips.
back in this. So
Over
like
half my
this.
So I get a lot
And I
of
feel keep
that. And then adding in
Yeah,
stuff,
you know anything, right?
you can
But if you
explode.
have the short point at you, you're back there, and I go
But if they
forward.
get in too close, your reaction time just goes to pot.
Yeah, just send my old
That's a question. Oh,
So the only thing you can do from flute is go to the other flute, make that cover, or thrust. You can't really cut from flute.
I think we retreat here.
Like if you're here,
So if you're a
You're
little
cutting
bit
down?
like that,
Okay,
this is a lead cut.
so
You're going to wind up
So
bringing
you're
the tip
saying,
back.
what is, I'm
to
gonna do
cut.
slowly.
Yeah, I really
And
want
show me where you feel off
And
in
even
this,
that,
and we'll never talk
you're
about
not-
I just feel like sometimes
You're not
I'm
cutting
protected because they're coming like
from
It's not like
your
curving, but
coming out.
So I'm doing this, and you're
Yeah, I was totally transition
Did
to
you feel
something
that on
else.
this side, or not on that side?
Again, the biggest thing is you can't lay traps. You have one trap. That's range. You have a lot more space to thrust in. Whereas out here, I'm laying a trap with my hands. I'm laying a trap with my sword. If he cuts to my sword, just
So,
if he cuts towards my sword, yeah, I can cut under.
That would work.
But then I have a lot of time. Yuri says that
so,
food
so
is better in armor
you
than
might
out.
be close, right? So
Because
I'm on my line. I don't know about you.
armor gives you
So
Because
for
if you get
example,
dinged on
I think
armor
where the problem
from
is,
a
right?
cut,
And
oh
it
god,
might be why you're feeling unholy. What I'm doing if you're
even chainmail,
I'm really close to you.
like
That's that part of it.
Yeah.
a slot
Like,
cut
just
chainmail,
that.
Yeah, I feel like you would reach me.
it'll
Yeah.
hurt.
Then our distance is
I
a
got
little
chainmail,
bit
I got gambeson, yeah.
both for me
I have that little bit
and
of
for you, right? Because
reaction time. Oh, he's hit me. He's
But
not
also,
close
like,
enough. I can definitely hit him.
attacking you close than I need to. Right? So, that's
Cool.
Ah, wrong
So,
side.
great action, but rather than bring the hands across, I want you to extend.
so what now? Are you saying what she did there?
What she just did there.
Oh, okay. I thought you were changing up.
No, no, no.
Okay.
I'm going to change what we're doing, but not that.
Yes. Okay.
No, the zup was good. It's just when you were trying to push out rather than extend. The extension will allow you to actually hit him. But he wasn't wearing masks, so good.
Oh yeah. No.
I'm a face! So, that's the scoop. I still have 15 minutes. We can do the cuts of the hands. That I've seen you do a lot. So.
Yes. That is your favorite. That is your favorite move. The from what?
Oh.
Yeah.
That's the meat pound.
I'm just saying that this your love.
That's the meat pound.
It works.
And it works. So for this, there are two ways to do a middle half cut to the hands. Okay, this is the only time I'm going to say, you should cut this middle half.
Eye twitches, eye twitches.
What's middle how?
Middle half.
Middle how?
Middle half.
Middle how? How?
do, but you're not the only one. And that's why there's two variations, because Justin also likes to do this on Saturdays night.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Hands are out here, and it's a coming off, cut to the hands, or coming off, cut to the hands. That's the just no provoking, going straight for the hands. And then there's what Justin does. Is this to provoke the hands to go high, and then cuts to the hands.
Which is the better way of doing it.
It is a better way to do it, and technically, that version does show up in some of the sources. But it's a provoking, to get the hands to go high, and then cut to the hands.
And you have to react the way you want.
Tristan always says, like, when two people go over to the hands, I think the person who wins is the first one who remembers you can go up.
So,
That's an interesting way to put it.
you know the hilarious part? That is what I have written down for the things that you can do. Well, you provoke high, and then go for the hands, drop into the parry. The other thing you can do, so if you go high and like a parry, and you go for the hands, it's on. Up on the side.
Yes. And of course, because you're going short, that means that my next option would be basically either a door press or to late. Now it would be yep. We are really
So that's the with provoking. If they just go for the hands, same as before, up, and then here, go ahead and snap back in the face.
Isn't there a bike corner one also? I've seen Aiden do it, where in a tournament where he was here, someone went for his hands and just felt the bike corner of him directly in the face.
Yeah.
So
So that doesn't work against this even Janie, so we can overreaching your dead.
Yeah, we were also doing the middle out of the hand. They weren't doing like
I will.
scoop.
So totally referencing that, the reason I'm giving you these options rather than that option is this preserves your life first.
Yeah.
So if you cut across my hands, yeah, I can do this thing,
But this is a double kill.
but this could turn into a double.
Yeah.
Like now, if the cut of the hands was this thing,
Yeah.
then yeah, the up to back corner and thrust in, or just not Kryson, cut to the hands.
Yeah.
Um,
Aiden's also tall as shit, so I should
Yeah.
say that. Tall fences, you get away with janky shit.
Again, I'm trying to give the highest percentage options.
Yeah.
Which, if somebody cuts with their hands,
Yeah.
without provoking, come down on top, or prone. That's high.
I'm so used to pumping that I don't even think the zone.
So, yep. And whatever happens, happens. Questions about this?
One comment, which is the backwards finding thing, does help if you hold it here. Because I noticed everyone's trying to turn the front end to go hard, and they're getting their swords pushed up. I find if you overbind the back edge and then thrust, you get the thing.
That's a strength thing that you're doing.
I don't know what it is.
Yeah. I know exactly what you're talking about. You're able to make it happen.
I just mean you're pulling back here so you can go boom, boom. And then, yeah, drop the back edge on your sword and then wind to the front edge.
You don't have one. Keeps going.
But I'm never.
I understand what you were trying to say. You were adding steps that you don't necessarily need to.
I mean, it's happening no matter what, though, because you're pulling this and you're turning it to the front edge no matter what. And I'm just saying, before you turn to the front edge, you lay the back edge.
No, I don't always turn the front edge.
So if you switch feet, turns, back edge, no winding, just thrust.
Alright, yeah, so you're using the back edge, you got it.
Yeah, that's like front edge. That's not through edge.
If you switch feet, okay? Same thing. No winding, no action, shortest motion, no motion is faster than.
You got, that was the back edge on the second one, that's what I was thinking.
So, yeah, that's back edge. But
Yeah.
I'm not
That's
doing that. Because what happens there is,
I understand.
I'm now creating pressure, and as I extend in, either that's going to happen, or they're going to overpressure back.
I wasn't implying that much pressure, I was implying white pressure. Yeah, I was just implying what we did the second time. Because all I was saying was the thing we did the second time to do that thing would be helpful. That's all. It doesn't. Soft
The installation, you're getting added steps.
Yeah, soft pressure with the back edge before you turn the front edge. If
Doesn't
the back
matter.
edge is available.
Doesn't even matter. Because if I wind up
No motion faster than any motion.
here,
This takes extra time.
Yeah. no, doesn't really matter because if I get on this side, get on that side, stretch, boom. It's just feeling. If I wind up here, I wind up back, cut.
Yeah,
I wind up back.
yeah.
No. It's also not a static action. We have these moments in time that we have to explain. Yes, so find the blade, thrust back in with it. But really, when we're drilling it, you see it as we drill it. You have to find the blade immediately and then do something.
Yeah.
The finding the blade, the doing something, becomes moments in time that you can't just watch your way to a file switch. Oh, I have found this blade. I need to do something now.
Shove the blade in their face.
Yep.
That really is an issue.
Alright, so grab the partner, cup before the hands, unprovoked. Zap back in, on.
You need further chance to have as much of this practice instead of letting one of your frustration come up starting, right? See it in hand.
Yeah, that's good. I'll get one more.
So we need to do some of this practice from Iron King rather than.
I need to get used to more guards.
Oh, yeah, what's your call? Got it. So I will,
You
you
can do this.
want me to feed or play?
I will do first.
Okay.
So,
Step back half a step. Okay.
Up straight down. Just flat straight down.
That's where you need to look as well.
There was pressure from the side. I didn't feel like I was having any speed now.
But if you say he needed to come down.
No, I was saying.
Oh.
It's fine.
But I think at that point she's trying to.
Whenever I'm successful at the hands, I am not really high-fiving you.
I feel like it's one of the great things we can do if you line up.
Oh, I grabbed the sword.
And even better things
I'm doing something mean here. You may help it.
to Alright, so.
Do you want me to end up up there?
No, do the cup of the hands because I'll bring it. This thing happens. Is that all that happens? When your hands go up like that? As long as you're not doing this, your hands are up and your arms are forward. You know what I mean? I think all stuff on it's cool. You don't want to stuff on it, that's fine.
Oh, that's a step thing.
Yep.
Okay.
Trust me. It's fun and effective. So you wind up there.
Yeah.
Yes.
That was
That
coming.
was a real close shot. You did nuts. You got your cup on?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
Learned my lesson from that first class.
Next.
I'll swing.
Can we do this little bit first?
Yeah, because I also need to figure out the swing.
Well, I'm just kidding.
Like that.
Yep.
Next. Let's do. Now, why
Is
did
there
that
another
happen?
one this way?
Yeah, you can do it on the other side too.
Why did it happen?
Becomes strong.
First, I told you to go left. Second, you're not why did you go right first?
Okay.
So why don't you go right first and then come back?
Yep.
Yes.
I see.
Yeah. Second, that's what we follow that side there. No, expect me. Beautiful. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. Look how I'm holding the sword.
Just heavy on the hand.
All right. Having fun?
Yeah.
Go.
Left?
Okay, right.
Sure.
Stepping offline on that cut.
Works sometimes.
So, I'm going to be 100% honest. When Sonic gets the hands like that, I fucking hate it. It works. People do it, which is why we need to deal with it. If I'm going for the hands,
So you want me to do that side by side and then?
I'll do that. This thing is probably about equally as effective, though it is a passive step off to the side.
Yes. If I see somebody step like that, I step back.
Yeah.
You have to step. You'll be a passing step. And it's a great way to start closing distance. But it doesn't necessarily leave you in a good spot if you don't hit.
I feel like it's easier to be blading the better point for protecting.
Is that?
It felt like the blade was better protecting me though. When I was like,
As attacking to the hands? Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But if I'm doing this cut to the hands, I'm not too worried about my own safety.
but once I make the step, I am.
Fine. It is a moment slower. It's not a lot slower, but it's a moment slower that might give some of the other person a chance to respond.
There's also virtually everybody I've trained with knows, doesn't it, like if somebody just moves his blade, it's hard to recognize exactly what to do. The moment they step, you know something big is up, you know you're probably going to retreat or in the direction that they're moving. Whereas if it's just a blade movement, because I can do it with a round school. I can try to hit his hand from the other side.
The other logic also is, if you have time to step to the side, they have time to step back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
Or step in.
Yeah,
Or step in.
And against someone who is particularly, reactionary, that's waiting for you to screw up, their natural instinct is to step back, and all of a sudden the distance is back.
But then there's also, if you know the other person is going to step back, you can of course bring them up.
Sure. Yes.
So stepping off to the side is safer. Totally will say it's safer. Gives the other person a little bit more time to react. And honestly, if I'm stepping off to the side from here, I'm going to do something else. I'm going to do a middle blow of the sword, aiming to control the blade.
Yeah.
Because it's just hand sniping is fun. I'm not going to say it's not, but we gotta work it into the end of things, which is why Justin does it so well. Why Kenny does it really well when he wants to. But why, and actually, This is how I wanted to end the class, talking about the stratagems of how do we get the person in the hands? How do we avoid getting hit in the hands?
Don't be late.
Don't be lazy, that's a great one. I didn't write that one down. The extension of the arms. Like I said, having the arms extended,
Potentially the cage.
leaning a little bit to create the opportunity for them, knowing that you created the opportunity for them and reacting in time. How do we avoid getting hit in the hands? Use other guards! Okay.
For example, if he can hit me in the hands, he can also hit me in the head.
Yep.
Yeah. So how do you avoid getting in the hands when you're cutting in from a high guard? Is it distance? Is the answer just distance?
Don't lead
so
with your
wait.
hands.
So wait.
Cut.
The logic is, the question is, so I'm coming in like
If you
this, and I'm
pass
going to hit the
away-
hands on the way down.
So if he can hit my hands when I do a cut like this, I was already too close.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying, it's distance.
Because the goal is that after my blade hits eye height, I want to be 4 to 6 inches away
Right.
from his face. Yeah? If you could hit my hand when I start my cut,
Yeah,
I was already too close.
You also
So-
will end up on his head anyway.
It's also, you're also leading with your hands at that point.
So,
And I'm going to give if you're doing a high cut,
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Or the alternative, of course, is if I want to cut from an overhaul and I'm afraid that there's a super fast hand sniper, I would do this. Okay?
Oh
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, because that is the one I remember from the class was that I basically did the cut step in here. And when I was doing that right about here, I just got poked right across the hands. As I was doing it, I thought I was going to get met in the bind, and they didn't do that. They just kind of boof right across my hands.
you're leading with your hands.
Yeah. Well, one thing I never really quite handled while fighting a guy that I was sparring with was that when I go some normal from kind of shoulder, I could go with like a.
Are you doing the lazy? This is all I can always get hit. I'm doing one of these. It's just like, don't be lazy. Hang out like this yard, and my hand, this hand's perfect for being
confusion
Right.
with everyone. So we go with.
Well, sorry, that's my story.
Similarly,
Yeah.
But it comes, you wait until we spar for a while, and I'm like,
there. I just
and then he
never.
goes, oh.
Apart from studying, I really never found a way to deal with that. Do everything.
You know, this is
So-
an answer.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you believe it says both of these for shield, however, it work.
So
But a
to
person who does
respond to
one-handed
the idea
like
of
this,
if somebody does
does
that,
like take this shoulder.
you want here, you want to go for
You
that?
run sword class? Based on your gear. You're in the right place.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, that's the shield hat without turning the blade.
Yeah.
What is it?
It's a shield hat without turning the blade. If somebody goes for that one-handed bullshit, I'm sorry.
Oh, that is okay.
I'll say
Is
this.
your phone okay?
I was more worried about the mirror you almost took out with his sword.
Hello? You know Patrick? Hi.
Hello, nice to meet you. We're finishing up class.
Yeah, no problem.
So yeah, if they're gonna try that one-handed bullshit, just chop into it.
So one more evil trick that I use successfully against 3 people today is if you can camp out in one point, switch hands.
I watched you do that.
Because now you're left-handed fencer, and your reach is different than they expect. Your front hand is not what they expect. You're straight
Right.
side.
Or just being naturally left-handed.
Yep.
I switched back and forth 3 or 4 times, and that was working with you.
Yeah. The lines that happen when you're left-handed are almost
I
left-handed.
don't know why you're so strong on that side, but it's like
We interrupted you in your list of things you
That's
do.
fine. Yeah, extending your arms, using other arms.
One thing, the guy mentioned who was fighting like that. He was left-handed.
So,
So it often became this.
again, talking about bolognese that we were talking about earlier, one of the ways you can avoid getting in the hands is to constantly move.
Yeah, say move from guard to guard to
Move
guard.
from guard to guard.
Obviously out of the range, but yes.
Yeah,
yes.
presenting points.
Mary, I don't want to do that. She has this.
Marcus and Mackenzie from Atlanta Five Vectors do it all the time, and they're really good at it.
That's a minor thing.
It is a Meyer.
That's why mine is
It's also
actually really
well-based.
amazing.
It's also something that shows up time and time again. Raising one of the hands and batting carrying. I don't really like your batting carrying.
Batting carry. Demo to define.
So go for the hands, just rebatting, or you go for the hands and if you just go for the hands, just coming down and carry it.
Okay.
The only reason I don't really like it is it's a lower percentage success rate. I'm not saying it can't work, but you have to work at it.
I've never made it work, and I always get hit in the left hand.
Yep.
So I go to do it, and I don't get it in the right hand anymore, I get it in the left hand. Because my hands are still in presence.
But that is class today. Any questions, comments, added buts, or FUs?
I mean, it still doesn't work against the Morgan touch from distance. She's so fast.
Stabs to the
The
hand.
answer that's the faster.
Yeah. Or don't get that close to her. All right. Thank you very much, class.
Yeah.
The floor is open.
I don't do that, so I'm going to do that with a sharp one day and just go right. Because I only sharp